Hello, everybody. Welcome to Battle Pirates Crib. Embers of Rage, as everybody knows, has been delayed by 24 hours due to Facebook having quite a few functionality issues. I know personally I'm having a hard time actually getting people to contacting people to be on the show because of it. Took me 20 minutes per page and actually to post the show information. So I think it's sort of understandable um, that Kixi might have decided to delay the raid until Facebook, you know, irons a few things out before we start the raid. Um, I think it's going to cause a few issues as we move on. Um, First thing being VXP weekend, we're losing a day of build time, whatnot. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting how we move forward. Mike stepped away. He's presenting the slides. Hopefully, he'll be back in a minute. So there he is.
Okay.
So yeah, we're live, Mike.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, okay, it's all good. Um, so I just wanted to put that out. You know, make sure everybody realizes. I think everybody realizes it's been canceled. But if you Google Facebook outage, it's makes you sort of wonder how tied we are to Facebook as an individual platform for communicating with each other.
Yeah.
And so, well, let me introduce everybody from left to right. Magic Mike.
Hi, better late than never.
Yep. And I'm still trying to figure out if we're presenting here, but yeah, we are.
Okay.
So I will put you on present. We should have some people popping up. I got in touch with George, but he was stuck in traffic. But other people I've been having a hard time getting a hold of. So let's go to the bug fixes, Mike.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Okay. The first one is it's a non-issue at this point. With players that had over 1 billion points, weren't able to claim prizes. Uh, they didn't fix the issue, but they actually chopped the zero off of everything in the raid. So if somebody gets 1 billion, that's the equivalent of getting 10 billion, which is probably only one or two people involved with that situation on a normal basis as far as getting that sort of point total. Um, and then upgrading buildings with gold was using fewer base parts than intended. Not a lot of details. Not sure. Uh, they were probably happy with it. People using gold and finding a discount. I don't, you know, think they would find much of an issue. So not much going on with bug fixes this week. So let's go to the next one, Mike. There's a mini calendar that got dropped. March 14th is going to now be the start of the Embers of Rage. And then there's some questionable decisions, at least as far as I'm concerned. They're starting Bounty on the 20th, moving it a week earlier to overlap with VXP weekend. VXP weekend's already having some issues that I see at this point because we're losing a day of build time because of this delay, and we'll get a little bit more into that. And then we have a March special activity that's going to occur on the 27th.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Some people think it's St. Patrick's Day, but it's 10 days too late. This should overlap with April Fool's Day. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there.
Well, the
Anything on
joke's
that?
usually on us anyway, so okay.
Okay. Let's move on to one more. Okay, Embers of Rage, which now starts tomorrow, about this time for most people, depending on what sector you're in. Still a rolling start. Give it another click. Okay. As I explained earlier, there's a 24-hour delay because of the Facebook connectivity issue that's going on. And I did ask Chris if we would see some sort of change to VXP weekend, because we are, in fact, losing a day of build time prior to VXP weekend. And there's no plans for any changes at this moment, or a second VXP weekend. So I don't know. I'm not terribly happy with. They could make some sort of adjustments, either add a second weekend or add a day onto the existing planned VXP weekend to account for the, because everybody wants to get their Saturn or Nemesis built in order to participate, because if you don't get them ranked, they're sort of useless. So,
Or pop a token and charge it to Facebook.
yeah, it's it's I mean, the thing that keeps them coming back to me is, like, so many things are tied to Facebook at this point that, a lot of people ought to come up with duplicate systems of communication and whatnot. So yes, yes, Raptor. I don't think it's my fault, but it's always a possibility somewhere down the line. But let's move on. As I mentioned earlier, they've chopped some zeros off of everything. So as opposed to getting, is this going off of everybody's page? This is interesting. Can everybody see the top of this?
Tier 9 set?
Yeah, at least the way okay, never mind. It's all good.
Okay.
You're used to seeing 5 million as opposed to 500,000. All the prizes have been had the same truncation of digits off of them, so it should be the same thing. We have the 110 and the 108. There's no indication at this point that one is the preferred target over another for eradicators versus shrikes. But we do get what everybody loves in the game is the random drops. At least it's not a random chest drop, which people like even less. So, and if you look down towards the bottom, as far as the tier 9 targets, you will see the 106, 104, 102, 100 with the loot as you would expect it. No randomness associated with it, but you do not get a set completion bonus for these. Otherwise, I have not seen any changes associated with this table as far as our payout. Anything on this, Mike?
No.
Okay.
I just when I looked at it the first time, just real quick, I didn't notice the loot, which I'm kind of happy to see that in the 104. That's not changed. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's move on. I was trying to figure out where to place this. Wrong Thinker made a post on the different halls that we're going to be seeing as far as the Saturn and the Nemesis X, and what the difference is. We used to call them blitz halls or blitz halls, or then some became auto halls versus the skill hall. Now they're going with a new approach and calling one the, basically, you build it right or you drive it right is the way I sort of see this. The strategic hall versus the tactics hall. I'm not really sure that strategic versus tactics really illustrates the differences, but one relies more on you building it, and the other one's relying on you driving it. So we'll get more into these hauls as go on. I just wanted to lead in with this preview that that they started with. And here's a description of the ships. He's basically telling you that the Saturn is the more auto-friendly. And we're going to get into more details on the ship. I just wanted to figure out a way to present this. And here's the upgrades that you get with your upgrade kits. And we're not sure where those are coming from or how long they're going to be. We could assume that they're similar to what we saw earlier with the rest of the PvE stuff. So bonus combat speed, which was what we saw with the Eradicators and the Shrikes. The Saturn provides a difference at upgrade 2. It unlocks and allows you to build one of 2 CICs. The Diani, I don't know how to pronounce that word, is invasion and penetrated defense, while the other one is damage increased to buildings. And upgrade 3 is bonuses to corrosive damage and defense. So that's what you get once you unlock them. I mean, the current thing is 1.1 day for 1.1 day and 10 upgrade kits for upgrade level 1. What is it? Yeah, then it's 30 for upgrade level 2 with 3.3 days of quote unquote build time, and then additional build time associated with the incorporation of the CIC, and they will both unlock if you do this. There's no winning it, it just unlocks at that point in time. And then upgrade level 3 is 6.6 days and 60 upgrade kits. So, all right, let's move on to the Nemesis X. It's a faster moving hull. I do refer to, at one point, refer to the Saturns, which have a base combat speed of 20, as driving a herd of turtles. But there are bonuses that you'll see that will speed it up, and they also increase the defenses, the resistances associated with the hull. And as you see with the upgrade level 1, the combat speed, and then it unlocks the mine layer, which is one of the CICs that we were not promised, but hinted at and talked about associated with the Mana Core. We never saw it come out, so I guess this is where it pops out. It's I'm assuming that it's once you have this, it's going to drop mines behind it. Don't know if they move, don't know how effective they are, but this is just sort of a taste so we can sort of choose between the two. And then the last one is bonus penetrative damage. So any thoughts on either one of these, Mike?
No, not really. Looks like this is obviously the long range one, but I'm thinking in my mind which one I'm going to be looking for. And
yeah. We'll get into the ranges and some of the more specifics. This is I'm just trying to brush through what Wrong Thinker put out there as far as our preview. And we'll get more into the targets. He did a good job as far as providing pictures of all the pictures and descriptions of all the adversaries that we'll face in the upcoming raid cycle. But I wanted to cover some of the general broad brush strokes he provided about the actual ships themselves, as far as how he saw them fitting into fitting in. So,
all good then.
Okay, well, let's move on then. This is Saturn. It's 6 million points. This is the corrosive assault hull. And the bottom left, you can see what I talked about earlier as far as the bonuses it receives at different upgrade levels. The tricky part is it only has 2 countermeasure slots, and what you want to be countering is missiles. So the missile defense system 3 is your optimal. Probably the phalanx is somewhere after that, but it's going to be difficult to build a real tanky ship, or like a counter ship, because they only allow two per ship, on these normal ones. So we don't have any information on the flag at this point in time. So, and you see down below. Well, the thing I mentioned earlier, it only has a combat speed of 20, which we don't really see that often. I think we're going to see it again with the Conqueror that's being released, but combat speed of 20 is it's pretty far down there as far as what we're used to seeing. And but everything else is, what we're used to seeing. But like I said, this one does have a stacking bonus for defenses and combat speed. And then it has this gaseous decay, which requires you to go within the range. You're not even trying to kite it anymore. You're basically just running into buildings and whatnot to reduce their corrosive defense. Because I think, as we'll see, I think the weapon itself has a range of 89, but this debuff on the enemy buildings has a range of 60. So I'm not really sure how it works as far as being as far as autoing, since you need to drive in order to get this effect. So, any thoughts on the Saturn?
Yeah, you will take damage.
Yeah, you will take damage. It's probably going to be more effective, as we see with the weapons, against the ships, at least as far as killing them quickly. And as we talked about last week, cannon fodder is looking for, we're expecting the Uranus on the next assault cycle that we'll see in a year. So let's, 3 days, 19 hours, get them built in time. And then we have the Calypso scattergun. We're still going with the mythology theme. It has a range of 89. And as you'll see with the Nemesis, once you put in your normal missile extenders, that's going to have a range of 99. So there's a range difference of 10. It's got not a great splash to spread ratio, so you'll have to look at that when you equip it, as far as increasing splash and reducing spread. There's a lot of old specials out there, but we don't know, what specials we might see in the FM or TLCs coming up. It's going to be tricky to equip this to older hulls, such as the Manicore, due to the weight. The weight's quite cumbersome relative to what we've seen previously. So, anything on this one, Mike? Or
Yeah,
we
I got
move on to
nothing on this one. That was
Okay, it's 2.5 million points, and it was 6 million points for the last one. I forgot to mention that. I didn't, with everything going on today, I didn't do a whole prize list. I can do some stuff from the top of my head as far as what's missing, but or what's limited. But let's go on to the next one.
it is so heavy that backwards compatibility doesn't look like it's
Yeah, it might be a little tricky.
yeah. Well, that's nice art.
Okay. On the left-hand side, I want to just throw out some specials that I want to make sure people were thinking about associated with this ship. All three of these stack together. There's some other ones that stack with it, but I just wanted to. These are the big ones that I was going to throw out there. High velocity cartridges, add projectile speed, corrosive damage, and building and wall damage. We've seen similar specials like this in the past. And it's a no-brainer to own it and to win it and put it on. The other ones I want to make sure people pay attention to when they put their builds together is Roaring Barrel System. As we saw before with the weapon, it has a multi-shot of 6. So adding +3 all by itself is adding 30% more damage. It's adding, it's going from 6 shots to 9 shots with this special, and while at the same time increasing your reload by 60%, your corrosive damage by 30%, and your combat speed by 10%. So this is going to be a good special to use, and it also matches with the stacks with the high vitality. Velocity? I don't even know what that word is.
Volatility.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was the screen was a little far away,
It's
but
okay.
and I guess
That
I should have made that bit.
roaring barrels looks significant.
Yeah, and then the assault battery to use over siege battery is useful because even though the numbers are lower for building damage and wall damage, once you do the math and work out the increase that you're going to get in this example, corrosive damage, and then you multiply it by building and wall damage, you end up about somewhere around 20% damage increase. So you might as well put this one on first. I mean, there's always a chance that we're going to get something specialized like we did in the last raid, where we might get a corrosive battery or a penetrating battery. But yeah, at this point we don't know. What we might see is escalation specials. So 1.5 million points. And anything on this one else on this, Mike?
No. Nope. Can't
Okay.
help that one.
Alrighty. Yeah, when I went with corrosive assault hull, I didn't think that penetrating, even though I misspelled it, assault hull would sound a little off, but here it is. Also only has 2 countermeasure slots. And as you see, the specials are combat speed and then the mine layer, followed by a bonus penetrative damage. And what you see that's different, it doesn't, if you could look at special abilities, it does not have the stacking bonuses that we saw, the plus 10% for combat speed, the plus 10% for defenses aren't included here. When what we've got instead of the gaseous diffusion or whatever they call it, used to call it keel hauling when they originally released it, but I guess they decided that was too graphic, is that we have a stacking combat speed debuff for your enemies, the enemy ships that are incoming. So you get -15 per ship with a maximum of 5. So, and I see people talking about sonar. Yeah, I wanted to get into that. I talked to, which one did I talk to? Did I talk to Wrong Thinker? Or did I talk to, yeah, I made a post about to Wrong Thinker. Yeah, it was Wrong Thinker that replied. These are subs. Whether they have sonar or thermal, I'm not sure that the sonar is going to do anything for you. These ships, as they approach you, are going to surface. There's a potential, from what I can tell, with the shorter range. It's sort of like what we saw associated with the not the not with the bat rays, but the previous the one we had with the hunters and the fangtooths. Those targets, I think we're going to see a similar mechanism associated with that, where once they start getting in range, they're going to surface. So the only tricky part as far as seeing them is potentially knowing where they are on the map. I don't think it's going to be a matter of killing them, because they're going to surface on their own if the mechanism stays the same. Because if you also take a look back at the Saturn, and let's do that real quickly, Mike. Let's go back to this Saturn weapon. If you take a good look at it, it doesn't have any submerged damage. So this is, it needs to be surfaced anyways in order for you to do damage to it. So, it doesn't have, one has sonar, one doesn't. at this point, without seeing the targets, it's sort of hard to tell what's going on. Why put subs in the target then? I don't know. But it doesn't appear that these the one ship has a little bit of sonar, not a lot. It can't kill anything underwater. And the other one has no sonar, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let's move forward. Up to there we go. Okay, there we go. Right spot. It has a combat speed of 34, so it's much swifter. On its base. The other thing that you notice, if you look at the top, it doesn't have retargetable built into the hull. So with the hull, and you also see with the weapon and the special that come with it, none of them have retargetable. You would need to include retargetable, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, in order to hit submerged subs. So neither one of these ships are meant to kill submerged subs. So that's, I guess all I got to say about that. Well, it's not too complicated. It's actually pretty easy. It's just the fact they didn't do a freaking video. I was pushing for them to do a video as far as how we can see these targets in action. We haven't seen that, or how these special abilities work. The videos, even if it was just Osprey or Robot, the game designers on PvE, just spending 3 minutes on each target. We don't need to hear, Greta talking, or is Greta still alive? I'm not sure, but we don't need to hear them talking. Just 3 minutes on each target, and I think people would feel much more comfortable with the upcoming cycle. So let's move on. 2.5 million points. You get the Nemesis weapon, which is a assault D76X. Has an accuracy of 100% and a range of 76, which gets, with most specials, gets an extension of 30%, which gets you out to 98.9 or something. You've got pretty much 99 range with these. Again, no retargetable. So it's worth putting on. It's 13 hours and 32 minutes to equip. I haven't looked at full build times, but I'm not sure I doubt they've gone down. So let's go to the special. Okay. 15 hours. It adds anti-missile range and accuracy, as we talked about before. You want to be putting Missile Defense System 3, unless they come out with something new, on these ships. So, and then it's adding critical and chance and damage, which helps. But I think at the end of the day, we're going to see that the range and accuracy of the counters are going to be very helpful in this. And that might be one of the advantages of the Nemesis over the Saturn. So, anything on this one, Mike?
No, nothing.
Okay, well, let's move on then.
Nope. Find the button. Okay.
All right, here's a description. There's way more description with photos and whatnot in the forum posts that Wrong Thinker made. We've seen all these before in the cycle that we were using the Fang Tooth, the dagger tooth, low health, no damage. I think it's chiefly doing corrosive damage. The stonefish is chiefly doing penetrative damage, and you can countermeasure it with the Phalanx 4 or the missile defense systems. The ghost crawler, also chiefly missiles, but the viper fish appears to be more corrosive based and can follow you into fog banks, which we'll get into a second. I wish we had some pictures of those for us to explain. And then we have the buildings. We have a scatter turret, which appears that it can be sniped. I'm not sure if by both hulls. I'm assuming it can be sniped by the Nemesis, the missile ship. But with having to close to 60 range to get the debuff from the Saturn, I'm thinking you're probably not going to be able to snipe it. And the missile turret you can counter. And I want to go back. I'm thinking about it again. I'm not sure if I emphasize enough. You're probably, depending on the target, you're probably going to, there's two specials that extend missile range that also provide retargetable. Guided missile system and the other optical tracking system. Those are the two. Strike system 5 or 6 doesn't provide it. You could use something like laser targeting in order to get that. And so that not only can you hit things that are submerged, I don't think that's what we're trying to do here, but you don't want a bunch of missiles in the air to go to waste. So really depends on how you want to work your builds out associated with that. But one way or another, I would think that we probably want to have retargeting. So, and there's some support buildings. One makes the ghost crawlers extremely difficult to kill with the Nemesis X. And then there's the fog banks, which appear to be some sort of shroud generator that players can fire out of, but all the enemy, none of the enemies can, except for the viperfish. So you can run and hide with them, and that's one reason where it appears that the speed of the Nemesis might be helpful. So again, I haven't seen any of these things. I'm just going off of what's been written, so it's all good. Mike,
Yes.
any thoughts?
No.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's move on. See what else we got. The Howler. 3 million points.
PvP haul, right?
Yes, this is a PvP haul. It's 3 million points per. I think you have a maximum at this point of collecting 3. So it's and yes, Lady Cat, you can't get in the game. Try through your Kicksai account, and then you should be able to get in. Facebook is having significant issues at the moment, and has been all day. Hence the extension of the raid start time. This one, we don't know that much about it. Again, we're getting these herd of turtles combat speed of 20 that it starts out with. There are things to increase it, of course, but it does have an interesting mechanism that after it receives 1 million points of damage, it basically becomes invulnerable, but it can't fire, doubles its combat speed, and this lasts for 5 seconds. This is basically their counter to the heavy directional turrets. So it allows them to try to skirt by the ranges if you're very specific in your range and you don't cover every well. It's for 5 seconds, it's doubling its speed, can't be fired at directly. And as you see below, and we'll get to the weapons. Before we get to the weapons, notice that it has a base supercharge of ×6, because this is going to be sort of important. So, anything on the Howler?
Missed it all. I was distracted. Sorry. Multitasking. Not for me.
Okay. All right.
PvP I don't
I
do
just got
much
an upgrade.
anyway, so it's like, okay, go.
I just got an upgrade or update. We have re-enabled the Hull upgrade campaigns for 24 hours. These will shut off when the raid begins. This is something to give us something to do. So the no survivors and whatever the other one was, they're getting turned back on. I wonder if we have to start. I assume we have to start at the beginning again, but I guess it's not terribly awful. But it will allow you to get additional upgrade both kits and tokens. So I guess go ahead and start those now if you want to. Yes, and
I'm
I
sorry.
don't know if you, Lady Cat, yet if you tried through Kixeye, not through Facebook. It's Facebook's issue. So no more bitching about not be able to get in the game because it's completely Facebook's issue, and I'm assuming it'll be fixed soon because Facebook is losing a ton of money through this.
This has been going on all day long too, so
Yeah,
not
yeah,
stating the obvious, but you're right.
yeah. And let's move on to the two weapon choices. These are the rockets. They do extensive, consistent damage. And I like the end part. Look no matter what it says, look no further than these bad boys. So I'm not sure. We might put that as one of the better Kix's flavor text quotes. So, but as you'll see, these ones provide consistent damage, a range of 70. I don't know if you're the right person to ask, and I didn't because I was busy with things today. It can go on Conqueror and Defender, but there's some things to you can extend the range past 70, but these are close-up weapons, but you're going to be losing. And there's also a lot of ways to increase the damage as well. Really, there's a lot of choices here. Let's move on to the next one. This is a PvP launcher where it's the Lamentation launcher, where all the damage is concentrated into the shockwave. Remember before where I said it had 6 times supercharge? You can also put other specials on there. This has a stack, requires a stack of 2,000 in order to get a shockwave to create 6 million damage. Talked to on Discord earlier today, talked to Saltwater. He said with 3 ships with the right specials, you need probably a couple of salvos in order to get this shockwave. But you're getting more consistent damage through the rockets. So, I don't know. As far as the choices go, one's radioactive and does damage with the shockwaves chiefly because you're not going to get a huge amount of damage through the normal damage, through the regular radioactive damage that occurs prior to the shockwave. So let's okay. Well, I can shut down the slides. I don't know. Do you have much to say?
Not really. I have not been doing a whole lot in game just recently, so just trying to do these refits and stuff, getting
Okay.
ready. So.
Well, I need to. I'm not going to leave you on here for a couple minutes while I take a leak. So I'm probably just at this point just going to end the show, but I will post a link in case anybody'd like to join the after show. Sorry for the short show. I've been having a hard time communicating with both the pages and players to get people on here. So I was hoping Father George would show up, but I guess he's still stuck in traffic. And good luck with the raid. We'll be back on Friday. Hopefully, Facebook will have ironed out its issues, and we can move on from there. Ben, you got any quick words before I end the broadcast? Okay, I guess not. But Ben did say that you do start both campaigns at price pack 1. So if you want to go out and get more tokens or build, you can go out and do it. Ben, have you finished adjusting yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have any? Go ahead.
If you have the Siren Crew still, you might want to save them for the Assault Raid cycle.
Yeah, I can see that making sense. You only have 4 of them. But yeah, I mean, as opposed to burning them on nonsense, yeah, I could see it. Because you're going to be reducing their reload for 35% for one and 50% for the rare one. So, alrighty. Well, I put the link out there in case anybody would like to join. I'm going to get off before I need to pee myself. So, see y'all on Friday when we have more information to share. And the raid will be up and going. And hopefully they will have done something to fix the VXP issue that's going on as far as taking away a day of build time from everybody because of this Facebook issue. So, good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Night, everyone.
Night.